Hey everybody, welcome to Here's This Agile Thing. It's Matt Beam and Mike Markey. We are here to talk about
procrastination
and stuff.
Probably things having to do vaguely in the agile space. That's what we do here. That's what we talk about.
Yeah, we'll get to procrastination maybe later. But so first of all, did you have a topic that you wanted to talk
about? There was a topic I wanted to talk about, which was the same topic we've attempted to record. Folks, we've attempted to record this topic twice now. And thanks to my own hardware issues, we failed to achieve that.
I do remember that. I had the team topologies thing, but quite frankly, I don't think I am familiar with it enough to talk intelligently. Okay. So, I mean, we could dip into it, but I think, we should probably at some point do this topic.
Do this one? Yeah. The one that keeps coming up. Indeed. The truth is I learn more about it every week. The more we talk about it, the more I upload. Oh, look, there's the meter.
You see the meter?
I see the meter. I see me being somewhat softer than you overall.
Uh-oh. Just emotionally?
Just a little.
Well, we can fix that in post too, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Fix it in post.
Screw it. We're doing it live. So what is the topic?
So the topic is procrastination. The topic is. So there's this guy, Tim Urban. And Tim Urban did a TED Talk.
Country star?
A different Tim Urban. Yeah.
God, please.
So this is like somebody else. Anyway, so Tim Urban writes a blog and got invited to do a TED Talk. And he ended up doing a presentation on procrastination and how procrastination invades your life and takes over. And his supposition is that everybody is really procrastinators to some extent. Based on his definition. And his definition involves some really nice cartoons. He drew some pictures of the characters that fill his metaphor. And so his metaphor is a person's brain, and that brain is driven by something he calls the rational decision maker, which is the captain of the ship steering the wheel.
How we all think of ourselves by default, I would guess.
Yeah. So, the rational decision maker says, we've got something due in a couple weeks. Let's get started on it today, so we're not rushing around at the end. And this resonated well with me because I fit well within the pattern he says. These are the people who know there's a deadline coming and that they need to do something. Yeah. And there's like no activity. And then the deadline comes in and there's this massive spike in activity. And then the deadline is either made or it's not.
So you're saying you act as the rational decision maker, or
no, I think I'm the brain. I'm the brain in this one with the rational decision maker that falls prey to the second character in the cartoon, which he refers to as the instant gratification monkey. So the instant gratification monkey has no conception of past, present, future, deadlines, anything. All the monkey cares about is amusement, having fun, fulfilling whims, whatever crosses the monkey's mind. So you could sit down and say, I need to sit down and write a paper. I need to create a report. I need to build a deck because I got something coming up. And the monkey says, yeah, but first let's check email. Let's make sure that, we've cleared the deck of other things. Oh, look, news. And suddenly you're finding your way down all of the January 6th committee hearings.
This character I'm familiar with.
Okay. So the instant gratification monkey derails the things all the time, right?
Yeah.
Pops in and just on an instant you are off on another tangent. Just it's the thing that takes you off the rails. And so based on that, how do procrastinators ever get anything done?
I don't know, Mike. How do procrastinators ever get anything done?
Well, he says that it's because the reason they get stuff done is because there's another character in there too, and he calls it the panic monster. The panic monster is dormant in most people most of the time. But when a deadline gets too close You cross that line in your head between, if I don't do something, I will get nothing. I could get embarrassed. It's something triggers the monster. And when the monster comes out, the whole system goes nuts, because the panic monster runs in, starts screaming, and the panic monster is the only thing in the world that the instant gratification monkey is afraid of. So the monster comes out, goes, ah, and the monkey runs away, runs up a tree, and therefore the captain can take over the steering of the ship, and you make some progress toward getting your stuff done. And the thing is that the panic monster stays dormant most of the time until there's a need and there's something to trigger it, which is where the real problem with procrastination comes in. Chronic procrastination, if you don't have a deadline, nothing wakes up the monster. So the monkey wins. The monkey just wins all the time. You don't get anywhere. So people who are freelancers, people who are artists, people who are on their own, setting their own schedule, they're the people that fall prey to this the worst if they don't have some discipline over the monkey.
Boy, howdy. I got to tell you, as a self-employed individual, I resemble this remark. I'm familiar with this dynamic. Yeah, nobody's telling me what to do, and therefore it's an actual issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally see that.
Yeah.
And experienced that myself. The whole presentation resonated with me on entirely too many levels.
So is this the best we can do? So this is the design, and it's just utility in the chaos monster, the panic monster. I'm sorry. But and then it does trigger effort, but like, is this the best we can do?
Well, it's certainly not a healthy dynamic.
Yeah.
And the trouble is that, if you try and I encourage people to do this, look up Tim Urban, find his procrastination blog. He wrote 2 blogs, one where he defined this and you can see all the cartoons. But the next one is when he said, then this is how you vanquish the procrastination. And it's not as easy as it sounds, because you'll sit there and go, well, just develop some discipline about doing things, right? Which is something that's something you definitely can sit down and say, I intend to do that very soon.
I could, dude, there's nothing easier to procrastinate about than getting some discipline at some point.
That's right. Absolutely.
I can put that on my calendar all day and tomorrow too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, you're trying to do something good. And the thing is, the monkey loves planning. The monkey loves planning because planning isn't doing.
Yes.
Right. And so
God, I feel so seen right now.
So this fits my story, because I always said that I really liked when we switched to doing Agile, because it allowed me to do something I was good at, which was planning. But other people executed the plan, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, this well begun is half done. I helped set up the plan. I helped the team make the plan. I can monitor, but it wasn't my weakness that was coming in and deflecting us or causing problems. And in fact, as a procrastinator of some renown, I was able to detect it happening and help protect against it, or help deflect against that.
Yeah.
And there were other members of our team who also were chronic procrastinators, like the person who literally would wait 6 months to start writing his test plan and then do it all in a week of nonstop and come out as a hero. But when we started doing Scrum, he showed up and he was like, no, we just finished sprint planning. Who's going to start something? Let's get going. And he's the first guy up the board trying to make sure things got put in motion.
Yeah. Which
is kind of the point of why I wanted to talk about this, because as much as Tim Urban says that this structure exists in an individual brain, I always like thinking in terms of fractals and patterns. And I like saying what works in the small works in the large. So if each person has their own rational decision maker, their own monkey, their own panic monster, the organism that we create, these agile teams, I think that they have manifestations of these as well. And that's based purely on observation. I have
Yeah.
seen way too many teams that sit down and plan and say, this is what we're going to do during the course of the next sprint. And then the monkey takes over and you're watching the burn down chart, and the burn down chart's going nowhere fast, right? But if you look around, everyone's doing something. They're all doing something, right? It's a total misconception. People always, they always come to us and say, well, what's the team doing? They must be being lazy. Nobody's being lazy. They're all active.
They're busy, but are you getting at the difference between being busy and being effective?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right. So they're not doing what we were supposed to be doing, what the rational decision maker decided was the course of action. In this case, we could say the rational decision maker maybe is a manifestation of the product owner, right? The product owner is setting a course.
I don't know. This feels like a conversation for a scrum master or equivalent, because wouldn't that be the person who's like, okay, the process, here's how the pattern for getting valuable stuff done shouldn't be plan the crap out of it and then wait and then at the last minute, right?
Right.
So maybe, it feels like scrum master to me.
It might be, but I'm gonna step away from this for a second. Let's say that there isn't one person who fills every role, that it is possible that it will rotate through the team, right?
Yep.
The team, a well-disciplined team, could sit down and say, we need to make a plan. Let's stick to the plan. We're going to space this work out the way that we all imagine, all as procrastinators, all the way we all imagine that we will get this work done over time to hit the deadline, right?
So they could think of it as an accountability as opposed to a role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But then that got me to thinking, well, okay, so if that's a shared role, who plays the monkey? And I have seen some monkeyism going on, some monkeying around with my sprints, right? And sometimes it comes from inside. Sometimes a member of the team gets distracted and goes off learning a new skill that is unrelated to the current sprint goal or something along those lines.
Shaving some yaks.
Sometimes it's external. Sometimes we have a manager of some renown who may show up and strongly suggest that a different course of action would be the next best thing to do. And suddenly the wheel of the ship spins and we're no longer heading on course to our sprint goal. We're now doing something else. We're now busy doing another thing, but it's not what we intended to do. And it's not what the rational decision maker said was the next best thing to do.
I want some renown. How do I get some renown? That sounds good.
I don't know. I think it comes with a title.
Let's put that in the parking lot. Maybe we'll get to that later or not.
I don't know. I can't commit to that.
Yeah, I'll plan it and we'll do it eventually.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
So then where's the panic monster? So I think
Reality?
I'll let you answer that.
Where's the panic monster? The panic monster, it's reality, isn't it? Once this stuff catches up to you and you're in the middle of your 7th yak that you're shaving, somebody asks where the outcomes are. Isn't that true? Yeah.
Well, but is it, so I think that Scrum was actually set up in a very wise way, because it takes our organism and it gives you a mechanism for engaging the panic monster. Right? You've got a 2-week sprint. You've got a limited amount of time to get stuff done. Everything's in a time box. The time box is designed around waking up the panic monster. If nothing else happens, the panic monster is going to wake up and everyone's going to lose their minds.
But we don't give you 2 weeks to think about your plan and do something else. We ask you every day in the stand-up, what is your plan for the day? And by the way, what did you do yesterday? And can we help you?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's some wisdom to that, right? Because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, remember that plan that we have and this deadline we need to meet? How's that going? Are you on the path? Don't want to wake up any panic monsters or anything, but and it usually takes a team getting close to a deadline where the monster wakes up and they freak out and then they try and get stuff done and they rush at the end and they don't make it. And and then we have something to talk about in a retrospective.
Yeah, we
right?
do. It's interesting, though. I hadn't thought about it in these terms, but the best teams that I've been on have seemed easy. There was a lack of this. It was a routine to it, and it was an ease. I think that's the best word I can think of. We were just kind of doing. I don't know that we even consciously thought about it, but we were just kind of doing, a slice every day. We were doing a bit at a time, and we had gotten out of that. We didn't never talk about let's get out of this procrastination pattern, but we sure did.
Yeah.
I think just by observing the framework.
Yeah. And so the tool was there, but when it doesn't happen, monster wakes up, everybody gets all freaky. So I think, so in one sense, I think that the organism of an organization, we created panic monsters in the form of project managers.
Boy,
Right?
the project managers are not going to like to hear that.
Probably not, but I think that I've had project managers come to me before and wonder why the team wasn't panicking about an upcoming deadline.
For sure.
So
Yeah, it's nothing against the people in those roles, but it's the structures and the dynamics, right? It's how stuff actually tends to work out. Yeah,
and I've had that conversation where I said, hey, I know you want them to have a sense of urgency, but you're not saying you want them to be panicking. And the answer was yes, they did. They wanted to see panic. They wanted to see everyone going, we got to get stuff done. They wanted the monster to come out because the monster got stuff done.
that's an interesting assertion. The monster got stuff done. I mean, yeah, I would want to take that apart. We don't have to necessarily do it here, but I mean, might be slightly higher resolution to say the monster triggered stuff to get done, but the method was super messy and destructive. And I would say,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's other words I can't think.
Yeah. So when you engage the panic monster, what does the team do? They start working overtime. They start putting in extra hours. They start cutting corners to get shit done. They go through all that stuff, and the outcome is less than optimal. Just like when you're an individual procrastinator, waiting until the night before the paper's due to start banging out prose. Right?
Can I just observe one thing that's missing from the panic monster and the project manager's sort of theory or their approach there?
Please.
They're trying to get people to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But let's assume that they're knowledge workers that they're trying to influence, right? And if you want people, so how does a knowledge worker get stuff done? They think, right? They are able to focus and concentrate and reason together, right? And if you're trying to get people to reason, what do you need to do? You need them to be calm, collected, able to be present, sort of the opposite of panic or monster.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And so we create these teams. We give them a formula for staying on track, for not waking up the monster, to be able to do your best work.
Yeah.
Right. And when a team develops the discipline and recognizes the pain at the other end, in theory, they're doing that. And so the second article that he wrote, Tim Urban talked about ways to vanquish the monster, and effective planning was one of the things he came up with. He goes, planning, the monkey loves plans because plan is not working. Plan is just making plans, right? How many teams have we had where we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that. But he says the thing that's missing is the rational decision of saying this thing is the next most important thing, and that gets all my attention until it's done.
Yes, so I recognize this from myself. The hardest thing I love making lists and putting stuff on calendars, and the hardest thing for me to do is to say, okay, it's 11:30. It's time to move on to X. Yeah. Now, do it now. I get it. Do it now.
Yeah. So we build teams with that mechanism in place. We say, well, you've got a scrum master to help remind you what the rational plan is. And it's not a plan that the scrum master made, right? It's the plan that the team put together, right?
Yeah. Incidentally, that's probably a lot of the power of that role is that the scrum master is not coming and telling you what to do. The scrum master is coming and reminding you of what you told yourself you were going to do. It's reminding you of the commitments that you made, your former self made to yourself.
Right. In sprint planning, at the last retrospective, when you said, hey, this is what we're going to do differently next time. Hey, remember when we said we were going to not wait till the last day to start all the stuff? Remember when we said we were going to pick one thing and stay and swarm on it instead of starting 5 things at once? They're all, I mean, the multitasking that teams engage in, where they open up every story,
Yeah.
is a manifestation of the instant gratification monkey. They think that in order to do this work, I need to start all the work.
Yeah.
Right. Which
because
is,
that helps them. Does that help them avoid effectively the hard work of getting the people, like the integration, the thought integration? Or is it just because people want to have their own work? I don't know. Maybe I'm getting us off track here.
No. I think it's worth exploring that statement. Are they really, like, what are they hoping to accomplish? I think they're hoping to accomplish not getting hassled.
Let me just do my work.
Look how busy I am. Look how busy I am on important stuff.
Yeah.
Right. You told me this was all important stuff. I'm doing all this stuff. What more do you want of me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So are you saying that so this is sort of a perennial human issue, procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
And we now finally in the year 2022 have a solution. Procrastination, ? Scrum, !
Well, I mean, that's possible.
Title.
It is a way. I mean, you certainly don't have to do Scrum in order to put a time box on yourself or to put a deadline on what you're working on. I think that when we have teams that have evolved to not benefit from the time box anymore, they now work efficiently. They get work done. They take on work, they focus on it, they get it done, they take the next piece of work. Once a team hits that state, we don't need the time box because they're never engaging the panic monster. Right. That's not going to help them. They have developed the discipline to avoid the procrastination effect.
And that is a magical place to be. That sort of place of flow, right? Where you're engaged and you're constantly, and you're not even really that concerned about time because you're just thinking about you're absorbed in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's a wonderful place to be. So anyway, anybody who wants to go find the Tim Urban videos, he did a TED Talk. That was what got me started on this. It was really super amusing. The cartoons are cute. Read the blog, and find some value in it, hopefully. And if it doesn't pertain to you, I'll bet you any money it pertains to somebody very close to you.
And that's the end of this Agile thing.
Yes, it is.